Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's CX Connect, brought to you by CRM and Smart Customer Service and by our platinum sponsor, Kustomer Meta. I'm Bob Fernikes, and I'm the publisher of CRM Magazine, and I'm the moderator for this week's broadcast. I'm sure many of you have attended one of our webcasts over the last 25 years, but this is our second CX Connect virtual conference, and we hope to return to in-person next year in 2023. 4 years since our last conference. Today's sponsor presentation, again, is sponsored by Kustomer and Meta, and the title of the presentation is What the Future Holds for CX Organizations. But before we begin, allow me to explain how you can participate in this live broadcast. At the end of the presentation, we will have a question and answer session. So if you have any questions during the presentation, if you can put them in the Q&A as opposed to the chat. I believe that Kustomer is going to be using the chat for some other feedback. But if you can put the questions for the end of the presentation in the Q&A, that would be great. So now I'm going to introduce our speakers for today. We've got Gabe Larsen, VP of Marketing at Kustomer, and Andrea Salerno, Director of Content and Research at Kustomer. Welcome to the broadcast, folks.
Hey, thanks so much for having us.
Oh, it's so great to be here. What a great topic to be talking about.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can't wait to hear your findings and maybe even learn about what's going on with your future.
Oh, you get ready, buckle up. It's going to be fun.
That's great. That's great. I know you were right up to the edge here, working on things. So I'm going to pass things over to you, Gabe and Andrea.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Bob. We're so excited to be part of CX Connect. Looking forward to the next opportunity we have to do this in person. But as someone mentioned there in the chat, it's so exciting to be able to do this virtually, be able to have everybody attend. So today we're going to do things just a little bit different. Let me share my screen. Do want this to be as interactive as possible. So to make it interactive, I got to make sure that you are there and you know how to use the chat. So if you can, just open up your chat real quick and tell me your name and where you're from. You can also wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day. That's here in the good old US of A. So looks like we got a couple people coming in. Yep, there we are. Yep, Sarah coming in from Washington. We got Andrea from Brooklyn, Cheryl. Yeah, thank you, Jennifer, Heidi, Donna, Beverly. Perfect. Looks like we're all getting our chat function. So while that comes in, as said, I'm Gabe Larsen. I run marketing over here at Kustomer, officially now part of Meta. And I've got my trusted associate, Andrea. Since introductions were already done, Andrea, is it okay if we just jump in and get going?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. So watch that chat because, as I said, we want this to be interactive. Andrea's going to take us through some of the findings of a study, and we want to get your opinions on it. So as we go through today's presentation, watch the chat because I think that'll be fun. So let's start big picture, Andrea. The future of CX. Did you do this research study? What is it? Why is it? Give us the lay of the land.
Yeah, absolutely. So just for context, we regularly go out and survey both CX professionals and consumers. So today we're diving into our latest research report. We surveyed over 100 CX professionals, both in the US and the UK. So that means customer service professionals, customer experience, customer support, contact center professionals. And we really just wanted to know what the future holds for CX. So, I always wish that we had a crystal ball and we could definitively tell you what's on the horizon, but alas, the best that we can do is research. So essentially, we wanted to know what challenges need to be solved in CX, where CX organizations will be investing monetarily, what will be most important to achieve by 2025, and how consumer preferences or dominant channels might change over time.
Right. Well, with that, I'm anxious to actually see what the research is. So now this is where you come in as the audience. We obviously did the research. We've surveyed these 100+ respondents, and Want to kind of take you through some of the findings, but we want to get your take on it. So if you can open that chat back up. I'm going to read this question here if I can. I got it right in my way here. Let me see if I can move this around a little bit. There we go. Sorry. You got all these boxes on this. You got your chat and your things. So sorry. What percentage of CX professionals think that the role of customer service to fuel business growth will become more important in the next 3 years? That's a mouthful. What percentage of CX professionals think that the role of customer service will fuel business growth? That's the key. It's fueling business growth.
Fueling business growth.
3 years. So yeah, you can put in here A, B, C, or D. This is school again. You know how it goes. I wish we would have put in there. Remember those school answers? There'd be like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and answer E would be it's A, B, and C. We're not that complicated, right? It's only
we do have an all of the above in a later poll, but
okay,
right now.
All right, well, let's see. So I actually haven't seen a lot of this research. My gut probably says I'm going to go with C on this one, 42, Andrea. Looks like Adam's got B, Danielle's an A, Dan's a C.
Got a lot of A's in here. I like to see that.
It is a lot of A's. Mitchell, you were an A, Jennifer an A. Okay, I'm changing my answer to A. I'm going to go with C. Let's see what the survey says here. It was A. A at 79%. Why is this, Andrew? What was your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think this reflects one of the biggest shifts we've been seeing recently when it comes to customer service. I feel like traditionally customer service organizations have been thought of as a cost center, and organizations oftentimes focus on cutting costs or purely, like volume metrics, efficiency metrics like handle time or number of tickets handled, things like that. But I think now organizations in this sort of digital first world that we're in are starting to realize that customer service teams have a really huge opportunity, right? Sometimes they're the only face of the company if you are really only operating in a digital world like many of us did for the past 2 years. And so this can really impact business growth. It can create brand loyalty and advocacy. And essentially you're gathering tons and tons of data in terms of what customer preferences are, what their feedback is, things of that nature. So that mindset shift of thinking of customer service as a growth driver versus a cost center is really, I think, becoming more and more popular and will become more important over the next few years.
That last line is what's resonating with me. It's just the cost center, profit center. So long CX has been focused on cost minimization and satisfaction. And what we're finding is that one, satisfaction doesn't always tie to growth, which is ultimately what we want. Ding,
Yep.
ding, that's a problem. But also that, yeah, we just can't live in a world where we're just so I mean, it's always got to be part of the equation. But if the North Star is going to be growth, if the North Star is going to be sales, then we've got to align more to that. And boy, CX people are starting to follow suit, just like I think sales marketing, we've all kind of moved in that direction. Okay, let's go to number 2 here. Back to your chat. Sorry, this is a little bit of like a school exercise, but it's hopefully it's a little more fun. Which channels
Gotta
do
give out
CX
prizes.
Yeah, that's true. We should. I feel like I think about that and then I forget about it. Which channels do CX professionals think will grow in popularity over the next 3 years? Which channels do CX professionals? Okay. A is going to be live chat. B is social media. C is SMS. D is all the above. I think on this one, my gut is actually more all of the above, probably on this one, Andrea, because it does seem like we've always talked about phone dying. We've always talked about email dying. It never dies. It does seem like people continue to use stuff. So I'm going to go with D on this one. Looks like at least Nick agrees with me, Nick and Mark. Bob, actually Cheryl. Okay, C. Okay, Tammy. She went
mostly D. A handful of C's in here, but most everyone says all the above.
Yeah, looks like Sarah went with, I think Sarah was on the last one. So D. So mostly D's on this one. Where are we on this one, Andrew?
You're all correct again.
Oh.
I guess this makes sense because we surveyed CX professionals and most of you are. So the answer is all of the above. The only 2 channels that respondents thought would not get more popular over the next 3 years were phone support, so voice, which they thought would stay the same. And then in-person or in-store support, which obviously makes a lot of sense. I think that's been declining for some time as most businesses move online, and customer service options are obviously, it's not necessary to go into a store. So they predicted that in-store support would be less popular, phone support would stay the same, and basically every other channel would increase in popularity. If you go to the next slide, Gabe.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Sorry. So these predictions, I think, in my opinion, they're very reflected in the customer data as well. So we do a lot of consumer research. We did some research at the end of last year, and younger generations just continue to veer away from phone as their top method of communication with brands towards these digital first channels like text or live chat or social media. They also have a much higher appetite for things like self-service and chatbots. So, older generations might prefer other channels that they're, more comfortable with, or talking to a real person. You can see this here, 77% of consumers under 25, so that's the Gen Z population, they said that they find chatbots helpful. And when we researched, obviously, the surveyed CX professionals, they also said that they thought self-service would increase in popularity over the next 3 years. So they're seeing these same trends. And I think, as you said before, like, phone support may never be eliminated entirely, but younger generations definitely prefer different ways of communicating, and that's reflected in the predictions for how these channel preferences will shift.
Yeah, it is interesting. I was on the phone 2 days ago trying to mess with a bill, and I was on wait for 47 minutes and 27 seconds. I remember it because I was, wow. But it's just, that won't work. I mean, I say maybe phone won't go down, but it needs to. It needs to. It basically needs to. And I mean, some of these modern channels, right? I mean, the beauty of the modern channels is that they allow you to work the way I want to work. So I send a message, maybe in 3 more minutes, I look back at it as I have a minute, right? Rather than 47 minutes and 27 seconds. That's a long time, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. To basically work on their time. Is my time as a customer more important, your time as a business? And I think generally we're trying to prioritize the customer's time, and hopefully that will change as we continue to go down. Okay. The live video one. Yes. Okay. I don't know where I stand on this. Okay. What percentage of CX professionals are preparing to service customers via live video by 2025? Feel free to throw this one in. 81% of professionals going live video, 52 is B, 37 is C, D 22. There's no way it can be 81. I don't think it's out there enough. 22, it should be more than 22. I'm gonna wait and see what other people say on this one. Let's see. You got Christina's at a C, Elisa's a B. Okay, it's looking, I think they're using the same logic as me. It's mostly B's and C's. Oh, Baba went for D. Howard's a C. I don't know. I'm gonna go on the lower end. I'm gonna go for C on this one. What say you? What say you, Andrea?
Yeah, it's actually 52%. So this is the
B. Dang it.
Yeah, B. This is our first stumper for you guys.
Yeah, Andrew, you got this one. Who else got this? Lisa, congrats. Jennifer, Nicole, you were with me. C, Teresa, C. Yeah, sorry about that. I led you astray.
Yeah, I mean, this was a little bit higher than I anticipated.
I agree. Thank you. This feels high. Wow.
I thought it would be less than the majority. But if you do think about it, there are new channels popping up all the time. And I think a lot of people feel much more comfortable with live video after the last 2 years in the pandemic and communicating entirely remotely. For some, like, my mom never knew how to use Zoom, but she had to meet with her accountant on Zoom, and she took a cooking class on Zoom. So there's a whole large swath of the population that now is a lot more comfortable using that sort of channel. And, you think about it, TikTok is one of like the biggest social channels that didn't exist like mere years ago, and the iPhone didn't even exist 15 years ago. So a lot can change in a short period of time. And this
Andrea, sorry,
channel,
this is a good question by Howard. Just, or when you
yeah.
say video, you clarify, is that just Zoom, Howard said, or what? I mean, how else would you be using video in?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily Zoom only, but yeah, FaceTime type apps like Lisa is saying. So like, especially if you think about like electronics or troubleshooting or anything like that, or if people are having issues, like it may be hard to explain things simply via a chat or a phone call. Like you want to show in real time what's happening. So there is definitely a need there. But this channel specifically, live video, was the one that we saw businesses preparing for the most. But we actually did see 43% of organizations say that they were at least preparing to be able to do some minimal service via virtual assistants as well. So that's things like Alexa or Siri. And 26% of organizations said that they were going to try to prepare for servicing customers via virtual reality as well. So things like the metaverse. So obviously a lot of interesting channel changes are on the horizon, and a lot of them feel maybe far off. But when you think about how much has shifted so rapidly in the last 2 years, it is important to consider like where the world is moving and what might need to happen quicker than we think.
I love that. I mean, I think this is one. Yeah, Adam, you just said, you kind of going where I was going, screen sharing, we're just so more accustomed to video thanks to the last couple of years and us all moving to this Zoom world. So you're right. I think whether it comes in B2B, B2C, retail, like I kind of want to be able to show agents my problems. My son actually had a problem with their gaming system the other day. We used video. We like popped it open. The guys were like, hey, this is what you do. You press these buttons. And I was like, I'm so glad, because, I'm always like, okay, is it the green button or is it the button next to the green button, So video, I was like, thank you. It makes such a difference. The second thing is just the channel stuff. I remember maybe it was like 5 or 10 years ago. I was like, I think we've reached the threshold of as many channels as we'll possibly get in CX and service. It's funny because it is, right? It's like every 5 years, you're like, oh my goodness, there's a new channel, like videos coming up, this concept of metaverse. Like, wow, we're at Meta and some of this amazing stuff going on here. There's going to be insights there. So don't count your cards too soon on this one, because I think more channels will emerge. They always have, they probably always will. So more to come on that one. I'm glad you threw that out there. Okay. Let's see. Next question here. Yes, here we go. What are the top 3 priorities for CX organizations to achieve by 2025? So you should put 3 letters in the chat here. Is that right?
ABC, ABD.
Okay. So yeah, top 3 priorities. You can choose 3 of them. You can go B, C, D, or A, E, F. Let me see.
Giving you a lot of options.
Yeah. Increasing agent satisfaction. Oh, Dan got it right there. So he went with E, C, and A. Maybe he's going to bias me. E. Wow, Dan, how did you read that so fast? I just said starting reading the option. You guys are obviously through. I'm a little slow here. Let me get going. Increasing agent sat. Got it. Consistency across channels. Reducing customer effort. Reducing wait times. K. Proactively resolving customer issues. F is reducing handle times. Yeah, that's tough. What's their top 3? It looks like, let's see, I'm gonna have to go to the helper here. Let's see, B, C, and E by Sarah. Sharon, oops, I just lost you, Sharon. Jacqueline is A, B, and C. I'm gonna go with what Jacqueline did, A, B, and C. It just
easiest option.
It just comes off the
It rolls off the
better,
tongue.
Jacqueline. Thank you for that. I'm gonna go with that. Donna went with EAB. Howard, DFC. I like the capitalization here. Cheryl, C. This seems to be almost all over the place, although I'm seeing a lot of B's in there, Andrea. So I don't know if we've got a consensus on this one. Where do you, what did the research say?
The research said, I believe these were B, D, and E, if I remember
We got to
correctly.
check that. Let's see. Reducing customer effort. Okay. Achieving consistency. Yes.
Yeah, B, D, and E.
Okay. B, D, and E.
Yeah.
Baba got it. I think Baba was the only one. Let's see.
There were a few up there. I saw a few up there.
Was there?
Yeah. But essentially, I put these in these orders, order, because these were the top 3 priorities. So reducing wait time was number 1, what folks said. So 81% of CX organizations reported that reducing wait times is an extremely important priority to achieve within the next 3 years. And no doubt, like waiting on hold, as you were just saying, Gabe, it's a tale as old as time and a surefire way to make customers angry. And especially right now, I think, amidst the labor shortage, amidst all the pandemic curveballs that we've been dealing with, wait times really have been exacerbated. And folks feel like they're paying more with inflation and getting a lot less. So I think this totally makes sense given the time that we sent out this survey. But reducing handle times, however, was very low on the list of priorities for CX organizations. So I think this speaks pretty directly to a shift in attitude around what a customer service interaction should be. We were talking about cost cutting and efficiency earlier. I think, speedy resolution for simple problems will always be appreciated by customers, but more complex problems really do require more time. And in a digital first world, customer service organizations have the opportunity to build these bonds with customers and really strongly contribute to customer loyalty. So I think this makes a lot of sense that wait times are still a priority, handle times less of a priority. That's my perspective.
Yeah, no, and I think that it is. I'm not surprised to see wait times. It just, and I think that one was probably impacted over the last couple of years. It just became such a problem. It's really top of mind. It's on people's radar because for a lot of organizations, it got to be a wow type of problem.
Yeah,
I got to mention the Howard thing here. This is so great. Howard is like, look, I didn't get the answer, but can I still continue to listen? Yes, you can still listen in. It makes me feel like I'm a teacher. I'd love you to join, Howard. You can guess again on this one, please. Next question. Let me see if I get it because I'm losing some of my spaces in our chats. Where will CX organizations be investing? I guess that's the key, be investing in the next 3 years. You can select up to 3. These 3 ones, they're tough. They're
difficult. They take some thinking.
These guys seem to be a little faster than I am, so I better read this fast. Training agents, where will CX organizations be investing? Okay, yeah, training, investing in tools, headcount, legacy technology, that better be one, investing in AI chatbots, expanding in new lines of business. I'm definitely, I want to go with EA. I don't know if I can do 3. I think I feel pretty comfortable with E and A. Let's see what the group said. E went with B, D, and E. A, D, and E for Jennifer. Yeah. You went with E. Yeah. Oh, and chatbots, Jennifer. Okay. Mark, A, B, and D. Tool. Yeah. Analytics tools. I think there's some A. Well, no, look at this. Beverly, EBD. She skipped A. Drew, BDE. Got a lot of people on investing in chatbots. I would say almost everybody has an E in there. There wasn't very many. Thank you. At least Jennifer, Mark, they joined with me on training agents. I'm stumped on this one. What say Andrea? Oh, and training agents was. Yes.
Training agents was number 1.
There you go.
It's A, B. I'm cross-referencing now, so I don't have to guess which one they were. It's A, B, and E. So everyone that got A, B, E, good old Abe, you're correct. So it's training agents, investing in AI and chatbots, and investing in analytics tools. I think one of the options here was increasing headcount. That was actually very, very low on the list of priorities for CX organizations. But training current staff to, deliver better customer service did take the top spot. So I think, in addition to ensuring that agents are prepared to deliver these sort of brand building customer experiences, it's really important. Something that I've talked to a lot of folks about in the last few months is ensuring that they have the tools to make their jobs easier, because customer service can be a very thankless job. It can be unforgiving, especially because most of the time when people reach out, they have a problem. They're not always in the best mood. So the more you can make an agent's job easier, the better. So, if an agent doesn't have historical knowledge or context, or they're not as tenured, I think having technology that can surface all of the relevant information instantaneously, whether that's the customer history or an internal knowledge base, can be very, very helpful to ensure that everyone's delivering consistent, high value service. And then secondarily, I think almost everyone here concurred that investing in AI and chatbots is going to be a priority. We were talking about like these more consultative or loyalty building conversations that are going to be important to drive growth in customer service. And those will definitely be needed when a human has to deliver that sort of support. But AI technology chatbots can be really great in order to scale and make an agent's job easier. So whether that's chatbots to answer simple questions or be a first line of defense when consumers need an instant response, or leveraging AI for other reasons, whether that's, intelligent routing or sentiment analysis or what have you, I think will make a difference also in terms of agent productivity and agent happiness. So those two things aren't necessarily, mutually exclusive. They go very much hand in hand.
Analytics and tools I think Baba is winning. I think there's maybe 2 out of 4 on that one. Nicole got that last one right. I think I'm 0 for 4, but I didn't see the analytics and tools. The bots do make sense, Andrea. That's just an efficiency. There's so much efficiency to be gained, and that continues to be, organizations discover it.
I think analytics also goes very well with this growth narrative that we're talking about, because and more folks being digital first, it's like customer service organizations may be the only opportunity to like gather direct customer feedback, right? So the more you can harness that data and understand where there are issues, where there are gaps, both in the service organization, but in the business as a whole, I think is incredibly powerful, and more businesses are coming to realize that. So I think that this third one also makes perfect sense as well.
Yeah, that could be. I like tying it to the growth narrative. That makes a little more sense, especially AI. Great point on that, Nicole. All right, couple more we'll entertain you with here. Next question. Let me get that in there so I can see where we cut off there. What will be the most important customer service attribute by 2025? Most important customer service attribute 2025. Omnichannel support, personalized experiences, quick service, proactive service. I'm just glad we're back to the 1-letter thing. The 3-letter thing was just
I know, a little overwhelming.
Too hard for my brain to grasp. I'm gonna go. I think it's B on this one. I think if you're not going with B, I'm pretty confident. Lou does not agree with me. Going with an A. Sarah's B. Baba, let's see. So far you've been strong, but we're gonna differ on this one. Baba goes with C. Gabe goes with B. Beverly's going with Baba. Okay, let's see. Survey said personalized experience. That was
got it right, Gabe.
I was seeing that one. Is that what? Why is that? Why do you think that's going to happen?
Yeah, I think it's really that the importance of treating customers as individuals, right? Every human being has their own unique needs and preferences. And I think that servicing customers as individuals will really be a differentiator for businesses. So as the majority of consumers, as we saw earlier, especially younger consumers, will start to prefer self-service to solve their simple problems, these interactions that customers have with agents will be a lot more powerful and provide a unique opportunity to build sort of like a community of advocates and a community of fans. If you go to the next slide, Gabe, you can see a little bit more data on personalization, or I guess creating these real connections. So you can see here that call center scripts are really, really falling more and more out of style. 74% of respondents said that consumers dislike when agents use a script. 85% said that consumers appreciate conversational support. So they really want to have these like genuine interactions when they're talking to customer service representatives. They don't want to think of your business as like this cold, faceless entity, like robotic reading through a script. They want to like have an actual conversation and create these real connections. And the majority of CX leaders actually, which kind of surprised me, even reported that consumers enjoy when agents like joke with them and treat them like a friend. Obviously, that's not appropriate for every interaction, especially if it's a very emotionally distraught one. But I think that, you know, it's just becoming more apparent that you have to really approach a human being as a human being that's unique, that has preferences, that wants to have a real connection and a real conversation. So yeah, very interesting data around that.
Yeah, you can see the personalization. The scripting stuff it continues to be a problem, and you're right, you can just feel it, I think, when it happens. Question that just came in is, this is a more big picture question. I just want to throw out, Andrea, this might be a little bit off topic, but what is the data missing or not telling us about the future of CX organization? How can the human experience fill in those gaps? How would you, that's a little more broad.
No, I feel like I have to put a philosopher's hat on.
yeah, you've definitely hit a chord. We might need to come back to that one. How can the human experience fill in those gaps? I just thought this might be a good time to ask it, because I think, Andrea, there's something here on personalization, you know.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just throw out one idea, Dan, and we can kind of maybe resurface at the end. But as I've seen some of this data and going through it and then seeing this last one, I don't think we've really reached the pinnacle of personalization yet. It still feels off. It feels discombobulated. You know, I mean, some of the tactical stuff we know about, I work with this company all the time. I call them, they don't know who I am. It's like, really? That's crazy. When I'm chatting with somebody, they have no access. They have to wait 15 minutes to go find my flight information. Or it's like, how do you not have your order information hooked to this like chat program? This is bonkers, you know? So I think there's small stuff like that, but where does it go in the future of personalization? You know, how do you, well, I mean, I could hypothesize a little bit, but I just think we can go further here. I think we can go a lot further.
Like the word personalization has lost a lot of meaning, in my opinion, because it has just been very, very overused. Like, our automation programs can automatically pop your name into a conversation, but that's not real personalization. That gives off the facade of personalization. And like, you know, agents can hear what you're saying, but are they actually listening? Are they actually documenting? Are they actually understanding your wants and needs? So yeah, I think the word personalization has lost a lot of its like oomph, so to speak, because it's been so overused. But there is a lot more that can be done.
Interesting. All right. Hopefully that helps.
There's the last question.
Oh, last question. There you go. All right, for the group here, let's see how we can bring it home. Yeah, I love that, Adam. The shift from verbatim to suggested verbiage. That's so much more empowering based on that script concept we were just talking about. Thank you. What percentage, last question, what percentage of CX professionals believe personalization will become more important by 2025 than it is now? What percentage of CX professionals believe personalization? I mean, I've been going down the personalization train. I'm going to go with a big, well, I don't think it can be 84. I'm going to go with B on this one. Adam's an A, Nicole's back at A, Donna A, Robin B. It's definitely the A or B motion here. It was A. Interesting. So a lot.
A, 84%. I think, I mean, all of this makes sense given all the data that we've gone through this whole session. But I guess one way that I would sort of describe it beyond this word personalization, which has lost a lot of meaning, is like, I guess hyper-personalization is the easy way to sort of, you know, tell you what I actually mean, but it can be so powerful. So like imagining being matched with the same agent repeatedly, that you can build this connection with, and they know about you. Maybe they have the same food allergy as you do, or they live in the city that you've just booked a trip to, or something like that. Like that, those very, very personalized interactions can mean so much to a customer. It not only makes them feel heard and valued, but it also really can provide this standout service experience that can allow a brand to separate from the pack, essentially. You know, a modern consumer, in my opinion, like, yes, they want to buy a product or service. Your business would not exist without that, but they don't want to be treated just like a transaction. They're expecting a full-blown experience. And if that experience is a positive one, then a one-time purchase can often become, you know, a lifelong interaction with a company that understands their wants, needs, pain points, history. But unfortunately, a lot of businesses still, even though this has been touted for a long time, they still do live in these sort of early digital dark ages. I think a lot of companies have realized that's no longer feasible, especially after 2 years of being forced to be digital first in a lot of ways. But they treat their customers like tickets in a queue, essentially, rather than real individuals with real desires, real concerns. So instead of taking, you know, every CX organization has a vast store of data. They can proactively use that. They can engage specific consumers. They can, you know, really create these standout experiences. Many companies still rely on outdated customer service models that can waste time for consumers. It can waste money. It can waste their agents' energy. So that frustrates consumers, and it can really hurt a business's bottom line, in my opinion. I guess to shift things more positively as we end, on the flip side, companies, you know, that truly do know their customers, everything from their previous purchases to their customer service interactions, their preferred channels of communication, they really do experience a lot of growth, and nearly half of customers spend more when their experiences are tailored to their particular wants and needs. So to retain customers in this extremely saturated digital marketplace, so to speak, companies really need to quickly and seamlessly address customer needs and concerns in a personalized fashion. So, you know, taking all of that data you have, ensuring that you have that 360-degree view of the customer, and then using that to deliver really relevant, personalized, helpful interactions, can make a customer feel seen and heard. And it'll also transform the mindset, right, of a customer as like a flashing light on hold to an actual real person. And when customers are treated like people, they'll be repeat purchasers, but they'll also be your biggest advocate too. So it's free marketing.
Oh, it does. I think that's what sometimes people forget, right? That this
big
side of
time.
the house can lead to new business. It can be marketing. It isn't just CX, and that's that interconnectedness that I think we'll continue to see out of the gate here. So want to make sure you have a chance to get the full research. Appreciate you participating today and kind of humoring us with answering in the chat. It's always fun to kind of get some of your thoughts about the future of CX, but grab this link. Again, over 100 participants talking about what they see happening in CX over the next couple years. And with that, Andrea, I think we are ready for questions. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome. Well, we got one that came in. Oops, didn't mean to go back on that. This is from Howard. You mentioned that customers want to hear from a human being. How would you fit automated chats and robotic telephonic agents that sound human into that reality? Thoughts on that one?
Yeah. I think, we were talking about this before. The importance of AI and chatbots, it's not mutually exclusive, right? Like chatbots can be a great first line of defense. I'm sure everyone here has had a bad chatbot experience. I definitely have had a bad chatbot experience. I feel like they're often a barrier to getting service versus helpful in a lot of scenarios. If you have a good chatbot that can actually answer simple questions like where is my order, or initiate a return, that will be extremely powerful because, as we said, self-service is becoming a lot more popular, especially with younger consumers that grew up with Google in their pocket. They're used to helping themselves and they want to help themselves, whether that's via an FAQ page or a chatbot. They don't necessarily want to talk to a real person at all times. But there's always an opportunity to build a relationship. If you're having a consultative support conversation before someone purchases something, like that's never going to be able to be handled by a chatbot. If there's a more emotionally wrought discussion, like that is something that a human being needs to do. So chatbots can help for very simple inquiries. They can also be a first line of defense. So gathering initial information, it's just that escalation point that has to be crucial. It's very crucial. It has to happen as soon as a customer gets frustrated or a chatbot can no longer help the customer. So I think that that's really, really important to keep in mind. And then AI in general can do just so much more than chatbots and can deliver value to agents themselves and make them more efficient so that they have more time to have these consultative conversations, have these relationship building conversations. So not mutually exclusive, in my opinion.
Yeah, we just had who was that? Yeah, I get really upset when chatbots tell me to go to the company's website. If I had not thought myself, that was Jacqueline who came in. And I think that's the problem. It's funny because, Andrew, sometimes I think people equate personalization with personal service or human service. But as we've seen with large brands, Amazon might be a good example where it's like, hey, I feel very personalized experience, but I've never actually talked to anybody, but they do things with automation that aligns in a way, not like Jacqueline's saying, but in a way that works with me. It feels streamlined. It feels like they know who I am. They make it easy, et cetera. So it doesn't always have to equate to more time, more money. There are obviously efficient ways to do that with technology, yep, which I think you alluded to before. So, all right, Bob, I'm not seeing any other no, yeah, one just came in. You want to take this, Bob? You want to take?
Well, no. Well, I'll let you take any questions that popped in because there's a lot of information coming in on the chat. But I have a question for you. I think you're going to answer, and we know what the slide said in the beginning. So what do you think? I mean, you crowdsource the slides, but what do you guys think as experts in the field think will be the top priority for customer service teams in the future? Gabe, I think you tipped your hand a little earlier, but I don't know if you could just answer that.
Yeah, and I go back and forth on multiple things. This is always a tough one, so it depends on the time of day you get me there, Bob. Andrew, what would you kind of postulate on that?
I think it's very different from organization to organization. So it will be very personal to your team and what your business's priorities are. I always go back to like the customer, right? Like what does the customer actually want? And a lot of those like channel changes, I think, are going to be really, really crucial to keep in mind, not necessarily just 3 years from now, but far into the future. Like maybe your target demographic right now is not Gen Z, but 15 years from now, it probably will be, because those people will be the heads of household at some point. So just understanding like phone's not going to be it forever. Like you're going to have to start shifting. You're going to have to start thinking through like, where are people talking? Where are people living? It's right here on their cell phones, whether that's via text message or Instagram messaging or WhatsApp, like whatever it is, you need to ensure that once that happens, like you're prepared, because if someone can't get a hold of you in their preferred way, they're going to leave. In the actual full research report on our website, we also sort of slice and dice things by industry, which is very interesting because the priorities for a retailer are obviously very different than like a fintech company. And retailers specifically said that their top priority was to generate revenue actually through customer service. So that's things like cross-selling and upselling when they're having conversations. And that's, again, it's the shift in mindset from customer service solely as like a problem solver to a growth driver. So I would encourage everyone to look at that data as well, because there's interesting insights there.
That seems like a real nugget of information. Retailers are going to use customer service to, you know, upsell and drive sales.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So what do you think service organizations will realistically be able to accomplish in the next 5 years? By the way, my personal feeling is customer service organizations have done an incredible job in the last 2 years. So where do you think things are going to go realistically in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think some things are going to be a lot harder to accomplish than others. But as you said, I mean, if the last 2 years taught us anything, it's customer service teams have been like so resilient and pivoted so quickly, given how quickly the world has changed. One thing that, you know, I've been having conversations with a lot of CX leaders around is like agent attrition. That's something I don't think in the near term will be easy to fix. We were talking about how customer service can be a thankless job, but there's also this, you know, great resignation as it's being called. So I think it's necessary to try to accomplish that by giving agents the tools to succeed. But I'm not sure it'll be easy to accomplish. I do think that, as we saw in the chat with so many people saying that AI and chatbots are going to be a big priority, I think a lot of people have been thinking about that if they haven't already implemented it. It's been talked about so much for the last 5-10 years that like now is the time where customer service organizations are actually taking it seriously and realizing they have to put in some AI and intelligent automation in order to like stay up to speed. And as I said, you know, this consumer research says that self-service is going to be a lot more important. So whether that's through an FAQ page or a chat bot, I do think that that's going to be essential and necessary to accomplish in the near term. So I would probably say more of that will be actually accomplished.
Okay, I have a little bit of a snarky question, so I'm going to apologize beforehand. Shouldn't businesses be fixing their current problems instead of investing in the future? What would you say to that?
Gabe, do you have any thoughts there?
Oh my goodness, I think those are actually one and the same. You know, oftentimes I think we, you know, especially in the CXCS, we do see a shiny object and we want to invest in the future and we think that might save our problems. But I think getting the foundation right, Bob, is where so many people right now are going into problems. We've got legacy tool sets. I'm loving this word called Frankenstack. You know, I want to be able to solve this challenge or that challenge in 5 or 10 years, but they got duct tape and bale wire all over all over the company. You know, it's like, you solve the problem now, you build a foundation, and I'll tell you what, you set yourself up for the next 10 years. And that's just a general principle. So I think that actually, when you solve the now, you set yourself up to solve the future. So that'd be my quick advice.
Yeah, I agree. Those two things are definitely not mutually exclusive by any means. The easiest way to predict the future is to look at the current state of affairs and where there are issues and gaps I think it's very clear that businesses are facing like sort of like a renewed efficiency mandate, given all of the resignations and things of that nature. And it is, as I said, like personalization is the future, but that's hard to do when you need to be efficient, which is why it's important to put these like technology tools in place. We did see that in this data, as I said, there's a lot of additional data that we did not go through in the full research report if you guys want to check it out. But one of the questions that we asked was, what CX organizations' biggest challenges are today. And the biggest one, or one of the top two at least, was, you know, toggling between multiple systems to like track down information. It's this disparate, scattered data across so many different channels that it's completely inefficient, and it does not allow agents to have these like real personalized conversations without a script. If they have to be, you know, going through a million tabs in order to find one piece of information. So siloed third-party data, it means an abundance of wasted time. And so I think that ensuring that you have a platform that can deliver on this personalization in an efficient way is going to be very central. And that's reflected in the now, in the biggest challenges now, and then also what we see will come in the future.
Fantastic. So I'm going to ask a completely open-ended question here, because the title of this presentation is, what does the future hold for CX organizations? So it seems to me that, especially in the last 5 to 7 years, but definitely in the last 2 years, CX is really going to come into a preeminence within the organization itself. Is that kind of what you're seeing with your research and just from what you hear from the field?
Yeah, definitely. I actually had a really good conversation with a few of our customers last week. We had a different virtual event that we hosted, but that was something that just kept coming up over and over again, was how important the CX organization is becoming to the entire business. So it is very much like such a plethora of information that can be gathered and shared across so many different departments. As I said before, when people reach out to customer service, they're not reaching out because of a problem with customer service. It's always a problem with another part of the organization. Whether, you know, I'm just thinking right now in like a retail specific mindset, but like, you know, maybe something was sized incorrectly. Maybe, you know, you have a question about the color of a lipstick. Like, I don't know. There's just so many different elements. Or maybe like they are requesting a product that you don't already have. So you can gather that data and aggregate it and share it across the entire organization, whether that's to inform a new product being launched, whether that's to inform, you know, the e-commerce department as to like, oh, we need like a sizing guide on the website, or, you know, an issue that's happening on the website, or there's a million different things that customer service can gather insights to that can overall improve the business. And then in turn, you know, less customer service inquiries will happen because the overall experience will be seamless and better. One of our customers is Glossier, and they actually had a really interesting story that they told me last year, which was, you know, they would have people reach out asking them if they, you know, had one specific product or a product in a specific color. If they didn't, they would track all of that. And they would, when they close out a conversation, they would put all that information in. They would tag like, we do not have this product yet. And it actually led to them developing new products. And then they had all of that information. They were able to proactively reach out to these people who had asked about it and say like, hey, we heard your feedback. We created this and now it's available for you to buy. So that's a very direct correlation to like revenue driving. But it's, again, there's just so much information that customer service teams have that now businesses are really understanding the value. And I think they're taking it a lot more seriously than they did in the past.
Great. Gabe, you see good things for the CX organizations in your life coming down the road?
Oh, 100% I do. I think Andrea said it well, especially just the last part, making it so tangible, right? It's anytime you start to connect yourself with revenue, which is where CX organizations are going, you just get a seat at the table. It just becomes a whole different ball game. And when you start tying this together, and nobody's doing what Andrea said. I mean, how many people are running that full circle data? I mean, are you using in your marketing right now data from your CX team? The answer is no. I'll tell you right now, it's not happening. Will it happen? Yes, some organizations are doing it, but the more you connect growth, the more you become empowered and the more you grow up. And I think CX organizations, some are doing it, but they're really on the cusp of something fun.
Yeah, I think so too. In the old days, it was, sales was number one and everybody else was in support of sales. I think that's changing. And
Amen. Absolutely.
And your research is like proving that out. So it looks like we're up against the top of the hour. I really want to thank you guys. You always do a fantastic job. And I know you've got some things coming on. You may not even be able to talk about them right now, but hopefully you'll come back and tell us about, what's gone on moving forward. And
future of customer instead of the future of CX.
Okay. All right. Good. Future of customer. Love it. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. Everybody that asked questions. Gabe, you did a great job getting everybody engaged. I couldn't even read the chat. It was moving so quickly.
Awesome. I hope everybody had a good one.
Yep. And do we have a winner today? I will ask to pick a winner. Probably should.
I sent it to you in the chat, Bob.
Okay, it's buried somewhere in the chat. Okay. All right, Bill, might you be able to say the winner's name?
That I might.
It's buried.
Our winner is Jacqueline Jeffrey from the Sales and Marketing Enablement Forum from New York.
Oh,
fantastic.
Jacqueline, keep an eye out for more details on your $50 Amazon gift card, and thanks for joining us.
Well, congratulations, Jacqueline, Andrea, and Gabe. Always a pleasure, and you guys are just phenomenal, and good luck with the next couple months.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
All right. So long, everyone.